Hi everyone, my name is Russell Jude. I head up a company called Edge Designations, where we offer prep services for the CFA, FRM, KIA, and FTP designations. This particular video is called How to Use Your Calculator, and we are focusing on the Texas BA2 Plus calculator, as well as the BA2 Plus Professional. Both of them are very similar and both are handled in this particular video. For more information about our services, do take a look at edgedesignations.com. That is our website address. This particular video is the fifth in our series on how to use your Texas calculator. And today we are focusing on loan and amortization functions, a very important function that we're going to be handling today, which does come up quite predominantly in the CFA, FRM, and KIA designations. Let us get ourselves going straight away. As mentioned, this is the fifth video. The first four videos handled setup of your calculator, time value of money. Video number 3 was IRR, net present value, cash flow mode. Video 4 was interest rates. This is the fifth video, which handles loan and amortization functions. One more video to come after this particular video. Let us get ourselves going straight away and move on to the next slide. Just before we get going in terms of loan calculation, let's just have a brief discussion surrounding loan calculation with specific reference to fully amortizing loans. Now, it's important to remember that a fully amortizing loan is a loan that every time a payment is made on the loan, a component of the payment will be interest and a component of the payment will be principal, such that when we reach the end of the loan period, the entire loan has been repaid. Okay, what's interesting to note about these fully amortizing loans, that the initial or the early payments made on these particular loans contain a large component of interest. A very small component of principal goes towards repayment of the loan. And as the term and as the period moves on, what we find is that as we get closer towards the end of the loan period, a large component is now principal repaid, and only a little bit now is really interest being repaid. Okay, and what I want to do over here is to work on an example on a fully amortizing loan together with you. What we're trying to do over here is to be able to come out of our particular calculations and say, this is the loan. And remember, because a loan period is quite long, we want to be able to use what we call the amort function or the amortization function to be able to analyze this loan a little bit more effectively and to say, for example, after a certain amount of payments have been made, how much principal is still due, how much interest has been repaid, etc., etc. All of that is very effectively handled via the amortization function. Let us get ourselves going straight away. Let's look at our particular example over here. Assume a mortgage loan of $200,000. Now remember, in terms of our time value of money calculation, that $200,000 is the initial amount of the loan. That's the beginning of the loan. That is what we call its present value. Okay, the loan is a 30-year loan. And most loans are repaid on a monthly basis, and payment needs to be made monthly. So 30 years is 360 months. A rate of 9% per annum. And again, remember, guys, because we are going to be working in our calculators are on one payment per year, we're going to need to convert this 30 years to 360 months. And we're going to need to convert that 9% divided by 12 to be 0.75% per month. Okay, let's get ourselves going straight away. So let's turn our calculators on. There we go, nice and ready. Okay, Before we can start any kind of amortization function, any kind of amortization calculation, we need to input all of the data that we have relating to our loan into the time value of money section. So let's get going straight away with that. Calculators are on. First and foremost, we need to put in 360. Remember, the reason I'm using 360 and not 30 is we have set our calculators to one payment per year. And in our earlier videos, we suggested that you keep your calculators on one payment per year. And based on that, there are 12 payments then per year, and there are 30 years. That gives us our amount of 360. We input that into our calculator over our page, and by now you know for sure. Okay, don't forget to put the N. N is the number of periods. Interest rate, remember, it's a 9% interest rate per annum, but again, we are going to be working monthly. We divide that by 12, and it gets to 0.75%. But again, remember, okay, when we're working with any of our functions within the calculator, we don't put 0.75%, we put 0.75 as that whole number. Input that in as my I to Y, my interest rate, and that's my monthly interest rate. We then say, well, what is the value of the loan? What's the initial amount of the loan? That's $200,000. That is my present value. Input 200,000, and let's put that in as the present value. Okay, over our page over here. Let's turn a page. Okay. My future value of this loan is going to be 0, because remember, after the 30 years, after the 360 payments, the value of the loan is 0 because we've paid it off. So let's go 0 future value that is now in. Okay, I want to work out on this particular loan, how much am I going to be paying per month? Okay, so remember what we do in our time value of money calculation. I go CPT, but remember, when you push CPT, it doesn't change anything that it looks like on the face of the calculator, but it has registered that you put there compute, and you push over there payment. Okay, and what do you notice? The payment is $1,609, and remember, okay, we are working on a monthly basis. Okay, 360 months, 0.75% interest per month, and a monthly payment of $1,609. Okay, that is all the data relating to our particular loan. And remember, before we can start any kind of amortization function, I need to put all of this data into the calculator. Now the calculator's got it all in it. Okay, now we can start with an amortization function. Okay, so everyone comfortable thus far? We have got the payment on our particular loan. $1,609 is the payment that we make on our loan for all the details. $200,000 initial loan, 360 months related to my particular loan, and 0.75% interest per month. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do amortization tables together with you, and we're going to look at amortization tables from 2 points of view. First of all, from the single point of view. In other words, I want to be able to isolate a single point within my period, anywhere between time period 1, month 1, and time period 360 months. Any point in that time, isolate a single point. Okay, I'm going to be working with 100 payments in my example over here, and I want to see after 100 points at exactly that particular point in time, time period 100, what is the details of my loan at that particular point in time? Remember again, guys, I've just given you the detail over here relating to the loan. Present value, $200,000. The future value on the loan is 0 because it'll all be repaid. Interest rate is 9%. Divided by 12 because we work monthly. Number of periods is 360. And remember, in the previous example, we showed you how to calculate that payment, and it's still on the calculator. You can see over there on the left-hand side, 1609. Now, that all already needs to be put into your input into your calculator before we can get going then on our amortization table. In this particular example, what I want to try and do is I want to try and get some detail surrounding payment number, exactly payment number 100. In other words, I've made 100 payments. What is the detail of payment number 100 exactly? Okay, so what I do first and foremost, okay, I want to get to my amortization functionality on my calculator. So I go second function, and as you know by now, when you just push second function, doesn't really do all of that much. Go to the next page, and the present value button, second function present value, is in fact my amortization table now coming up. Okay, so if I wanted to get to the amort table again, guys, just remember second function PV gives me my amort table. Remember what I'm looking for now. I'm looking for payment number 100 and all of its details. The calculator brings up now P1. You can see over there on the left-hand side, P1. Okay, and my P1, I've got it in there as 100 already, but it could be any number. Okay, so in my example over here, I'm just going to do it again for you. P1, I want it equal to 100. Don't forget to push the enter key. Now it's in. What does that mean? P1 is my first payment. I want to start to analyze my cash flows, my loan repayments on this loan starting at what point? At P1. So I'm starting at point 100. Remember, we always use our arrow keys to arrow down. And the calculator asks you, well, what do you want your second payment to be? You want to start at payment 100, okay? And then, okay, I also want my payment to be 100. So we go 100, enter. What have I done by now, guys? What have I done is I've now told my calculator, I want this calculator to work within a range of numbers of 100 to 100. Now, when I tell the calculator to work within a range of 100 to 100, what am I essentially telling it? I'm telling the calculator, give me all the details surrounding only one payment, really, and that is payment number 100. That's what I've told it to do. Start at 100, end at 100. In other words, just look at a single payment of 100. Now, what do we know about our payments thus far? We know, and if I just take us back a page, see if I can work that one out over here. Okay, let's go here. If I take you back a page, remember, what did we see? We saw that every payment is $1,609 approximately. Okay, what I'm looking at now in terms of my calculations, let's go a page over there, is in terms of that payment of $1,609, because I'm looking at one payment only, payment number 100. What are the details? Let's have a look. Arrow down. Now that I've put them in, and remember, guys, once you've put your numbers into any kind of a functionality, cash flow function, anything like that, you put it into the interest conversion functionality, and here into the amortization function, it's there. Now look, so don't be scared to use your arrow keys to go up and down and check what you've got. I arrow up, I've got a payment of 100. Arrow down, I've got a payment 2 of 100. That's where I'm working. Arrow down a bit further, now we get our answers from the amort table. And the first answer is BAL, B-A-L. BAL stands for the balance. In other words, after 100 payments, what is still owing on the loan? $183,815, which is a bit scary. You've made 100 payments, and your total balance on the loan has gone from $200,000 to only $183,815. But remember what we said about loans. The early payments on a loan are mainly interest. Very little principal is repaid in the early days. Okay. Arrow down again for more information. PRN 228. What does 228 mean? PRN is the principal. So in other words, of payment number 100, because that's what I've selected. Of payment number 100, out of how much is that? 1609. How much of it is principal? A little bit, $228. That's all. Okay. So as you arrow down, it gives you detail about that payment of 1609. $228 is principal. Arrow down again. It says interest 1,380. So you can see out of a payment of $1,609, a major, massive component of it relates predominantly to interest. 1,380 is interest. Only 228 of it is principal. If I had to break that down for you over here, guys, let's have a look on the right-hand side. So for payment number 100, what have we got? We know the total amount that was paid is $1,609. $1,000.23, of which it's made up of $228 principal from there, and $1,380 is interest, making up my total payment of $1,609. Okay. Let us move on a little bit over here. What I want to show you in the next component over here is amortization tables again, but now instead of working at a single point at, for example, payment number 100, now I want to work with multiple points. So again, I've given you all the detail. You've seen that over there. Remember, again, no matter what you're doing on amortization tables, you always first need to be able to put everything in. Present value, $200,000, zero future value because it's been repaid. Interest rate of 9% per annum divided by 12, 0.75 monthly, 365 payments, and then a payment of $1,609 per month. Okay. And what I want to do now is I want to say, no, hold on a second. Now, okay, I want to work out not exactly payment 100. I want to work out details relating to my loan over a multiple payments. In other words, I've now made 100 payments. What is the detail of those 100 payments? It's a multiple payment, not a single payment. Okay, so again, we are going to go second function. Amort takes me over there to my payments over there. Now, instead of pushing pay for payment number 1, instead of pushing 100 for payment number 1, I'm going to put a 1 over there. Why? Because I want to see and analyze payments on this loan, 100 payments. In other words, from payment 1 all the way through to payment 100. So what's my starting point? P1. What's my starting point there? Is 1. Okay, so I'm starting at payment number 1, arrow down to payment 2, and I'm going all the way. I'm going to input 100 over there, enter that over there, and you can see now my calculation. I'm telling the calculator, provide me detail about my loan from payment what? Payment 1 all the way through to payment 100. How many payments is that? That's 100 payments altogether. How much have I paid altogether for that in terms of those payments? Well, we'll see that in a second. It'll be 1,609 per month. And I'm asking it to give me detail about 100 payments. Okay, what we do now is we arrow down. It's arrow down. Same balance as we saw previously. Of course, the balance is the same of 183,815. Why is the balance the same? Because remember, the balance is asking me, what is the balance today? What's today? Payment 100. In the first example, I worked on number 100. Now I'm also working on 100. The balance will be the same. And again, it's a bit of a sorry story that on a loan of $200,000, 100 payments later, I still owe $183,815. Okay. Arrow down. Look what it tells me now. PRN, it says the principal payment is $16,184. What does that mean? That means that I made it so far because I'm asking the calculator to work from payment 1 to 100 payments. In other words, in 100 payments, look over there, 100 payments, and I make a payment of 1,609.24 per month. How much have I paid in total? $160,000, $924. Everybody comfortable? 1,609 per month, and I'm asking it to look at 100 payments. I've paid $160,000, $924. How much of that is principal? Only $16,000. $16,184 is principal. Arrow downwards, and of the total payments that I've made of $160,000, again $100 at 1,609 per month. 144,740 is interest. So you can see again, of the total payments that I've made in my 100-month period, it's $160,000, $924. The vast majority of that has been interest, 144,740 is interest, and only 16,184 is principal. Let's go over our page, and now we can just do a bit of an analysis of this loan. And what do we see? Total, well, total for payments 1 to 100. Remember, I'm looking at multiple payments, 100 in total. I've made a total of $160,000, $924 payments. How much of it is principal? 16,184. How much is interest? 144. Of course, if you sum the 16,000 principal, the 144 interest, you get to a total payments of 160,924. This brings us to a conclusion of this particular video. We have looked at amortization tables. Remember, just a quick summary, before you can start your amortization table, you need to input your time value of money inputs, the period, the interest rate, the loan, as well as calculation of the payment. Then you can go into amortization. Remember, you can do amortization both on a single payment, between payment 1, payment 2, keep them the same, or between a much larger period, between payment 1 and payment 2, like in our example, where I set payment 1 at 1 and payment 2 at 100, I've got a multiple number that I could work with from there.